Welcome to another expert interview. I start them all the same way. I love the people I get to interview, and this is no exception. We've actually spent time together in person twice this year, which is great. And we get to talk about trips and travel and vacation, but then tie that around business and education and collaboration. And so it's really the best of both worlds, in my opinion. And if I can get paid to go on to events and add value, it's even better. And yeah, let's dive in. Amanda, tell us who you are, what you do, and then we're going to have some fun today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Devin. Super excited to be here. My name is Amanda Hietter. I am the founder and CEO of Across the Horizon Travel, a luxury travel agency. And our really cool niche that we do with our agency is we actually work with 6 and 7 figure business professionals that want to create another income stream in their business through hosting retreats. It allows them to get closer to their clientele, their community, and they're able to really be able to grow and scale through doing in-person events. Post-COVID, so many people want that in-person connection, and I help them create that connection through retreats.
I love that. Let's get some backstory here because this is a passion, right? This business was born
Yeah.
out of your passion. So tell us how we got here before we kind of dive in deeper.
Sure. Do you want to start from when I was a kid? Are we gonna do you want my whole life story? No, just kidding. I guess to kind of give a backstory of how I even got started in travel. So as a kid, my parents would always take us on trips once a year. And I began to love looking forward to where we were going next. And as I got older, I would be like, hey, let's go to this location and let's do these things. And I would start helping build the itinerary at a younger age. As I got older, I started doing the same for friends and family, and I absolutely loved doing it. And my now ex-husband, who was my husband at the time, we had 5 kids between the two of us. And I helped put together, or actually, I put together the whole entire itinerary for a Disney trip. And for Devin, he's a Disney lover like I am. That can be a challenge. And I literally mapped out all of the rides. And my now ex-husband, he said, you really should be a travel agent. You're really good at doing this. And I was like, no. COVID hit. So of course, travel shut down. And post COVID, my kids were getting older. And I was like, I really want to be able to travel more. I want to see the world, but I want to get paid doing it. Let's be a travel agent. So I kind of just jumped feet first into this profession. I'm the type of person that I'm like, I hem and haw for 5 seconds and then I just do it. I take action real quick. There's not a whole lot of thought process that was behind that. And so as I got into the industry, I did the typical family and romance travel. And I realized that there are hundreds upon thousands of travel agents out there doing the same thing. And it wasn't making me be that expert in the travel industry. So I started working with my business coach and we were throwing spaghetti against the wall of hey, let's see if we can work with financial advisors and do incentive trips. Or what about working with corporations and have them, do bigger events? And then we kind of stumbled upon working with coaches. And I had been a coach a lot of the time throughout my different careers that I was in. As a paralegal, I would train people. When I worked at McDonald's, I'd train people. So you consider that to be coaching, right? And so I was like, I have done events myself in the past, and I put together the event, and then I had to be the keynote speaker at the event and do all the things. And there's so much logistics that goes behind that. And so I realized that there was a need of someone to be kind of a right-hand wing woman, is what I love to call myself, of making sure everything runs smoothly and then also handling all the back end of the logistics, because there is a lot that comes with that. Finding the location, helping people with flights, dealing with lost luggage, making sure that the chef arrives on time, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I realized that that need was there. And once I put that out there and offered it, that's when people were like, oh my gosh, I've never heard of someone doing what you're doing. I need your help. So that's how I got there.
I love it. So let's dig in because I think someone who's part of a lot of masterminds and goes to a lot of retreats, there's so much value in being a participant in the room. But like you said, there's so much pressure and logistics and time. And so you're alleviating that. So talk to me about, let's start with the negative. Where do people go wrong when they're trying to put together a retreat? What are some mistakes they make, some things they overlook?
Oh my gosh. So I know for a fact my personal mistake, and other people I've worked with have done this mistake. They're not using a what I call financial calculator to map out how much everything is going to cost. A lot of retreat leaders have told me they just think of a number of like, I'm going to charge $2,500 a person. And they're not actually thinking about, okay, how much is the private villa going to cost? What is it going to cost to bring in a private chef? What is it going to cost for doing like an excursion with the group, et cetera, et cetera. And so they end up putting themselves into a hole, and then they're actually paying out to host a retreat that they've already invested so much time and money into, and they're investing more money into it. So that is a huge downfall in itself. And that's one of the very first things that we start with once I know their vision is like, hey, let's go ahead and let's put together all of the calculations of what you're wanting to do so that we can spit out a number of what to charge the attendees to make sure that you're making a profit.
Man, there's some wisdom there. And I think Kayla's
Mm-hmm.
sitting there nodding her head, being the numbers girl for sure. Hell yeah. No, I love that because it's funny. Gary and I were just talking too. I think on the other side of that, people overcharge sometimes where it's like some outlandish number and you're like, that's not accessible, right? But at the same
Right.
time, I know I was talking to someone and they're like, yeah, I just finished that event and I think I lost 10 grand. And I'm like, oh, that's a waste of time. Like,
Oh no.
don't do that.
Oh
So
no.
I love that. Talk to me about, you talked about vision and there's elements to putting this retreat together. What are some things to consider? We got location, we have how long it's going to be. Like, what are things people should consider if they're going to put a retreat together?
So honestly, the very first thing that you want to consider if you're planning on hosting a retreat, do you have a community to even market this to? That is one of the very first questions that I ask someone when we are having a discovery or collaboration type call. A lot of the times I run into people have this vision, but they really don't have a community to market it to. So that is so key and important is making sure that you have people that are interested. And then if they don't have that, I always say, hey, put it on your social media, go into your email database, say, hey, I am thinking about hosting a retreat. Who would be interested? And start collecting those names so that as we start working together, then it's like, hey, I've got an opening for 5 spots, early bird pricing. Those people that the 20 people that have said they're interested, you can shoot that out to them, and those will be the first people to sign up immediately.
That's great advice there. Talk to me about location. Is there a reason certain locations make sense or don't? How do we determine location?
So location, okay, let's kind of backtrack from that. Like, I don't ever say that there is a perfect location for anybody's retreat because some people like mountains, some people like beach, some people they want to be on a yacht. Like it depends on what they want. When it comes to selecting the location, depending on what type of experience that you're having, you want to make sure that there is an airport close by because I can guarantee you're not going to have everybody that's all right in your area. If, let's just say you're in New York and you want to do something, um, you know, on Staten Island. I'm just throwing some things out there. You can't assume everybody's going to live in New York and drive over there. You got to assume there's people probably way over in Cali or even like in Canada, they're going to want to fly in. So you have to make sure that the location is within a close vicinity. I had a friend of mine that was looking to host a retreat. We started talking and I was like, okay, where is this place located? They're like, oh, it's about an hour and a half drive from the airport. I was like, that's not going to work because you're going to have people coming in from all over the US or even outside of the US, and they're going to go, I don't want to have to pay for an Uber or a rental car that's just going to sit there while I'm at the retreat, or pay an Uber that's going to cost a couple $100 just to get there. So that is a super important thing, is that when you're looking at a place, making sure that location is close to an airport. That's so key.
Love that. You talked about like the chef, right? What are some other little things people forget to plan or think about when putting a retreat together that elevate the experience?
Yeah. So obviously a private chef, that is a wonderful experience to bring in. I always tell my retreat leaders that if you are renting a villa, hire a maid to come in and provide that cleanup service for you every day, because otherwise the retreat leader or someone that's there at the retreat is going to be cleaning up after everybody after a meal, or cleaning the bathroom, or things of that nature, sweeping up, vacuuming. Having a maid come in once a day while you're in the middle of doing like a mastermind session or something and everyone is gathered in the living room, that's doing that quietly behind the scenes, will provide that extra wow factor for the attendees of, oh my gosh, my bed's made and like the bathroom is nice and tidy. That little thing in itself will provide an elevated experience for the attendees.
Love that. Let's talk about where the best ROI is or where you think you should splurge. So do you splurge on better location, better food, an excursion? Like where is kind of the sneaky place we should spend a little extra to make it a better experience?
So it honestly depends on the attendees. So if you're hosting, I have a client that I'm working with that he focuses his retreat solely on food. So for him, he's going to want to make sure that he's bringing in the high quality food because the people that are attending this retreat are foodies. They're going to expect that the food is elevated, that he's got things that are local ingredients, things that are organic, things of that nature. Now, if you're someone that you're bringing in these financial advisors for a mastermind to kind of think outside the box of planning events or whatever it might be, you probably want to make sure that the location itself is very high end because that's what they expect. They're going to want something that's luxurious. They may not care as much about the food. So it honestly just depends on the attendees, what their desires and wants are. And this is where it goes back to asking your customers, your clients, your following, what would be something that you would like to experience that would be the best, to make it the best that it can be, if that makes sense.
Love that. Once you've picked a location, you're helping with room blocks, you're helping with transportation. Though, tell me you can help with the whole process.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yes. Yes. I do everything from finding the location. If it's a hotel, getting a room block put together, with finding a private chef locally in the area, to excursions, making it be a private excursion experience where it's just your group, to setting up private dinners, to meeting spaces, to airport transfers, rental cars, traveler's insurance, all of it. I handle every single detail that's travel logistics. So that, again, the retreat leader can go back to focusing on the content that they're presenting and getting butts and seats.
And one thing I think we were talking about, and correct me if I'm wrong, but for your like full service clients, like you'll be on site, you're actually the go-to person to solve the problem. So the retreat host
Yeah.
doesn't need to jump in. You're like, no, the chef's sick. I solve the problem, find the next chef. Like you provide that level too, correct?
Yes, I do. And I've had that happen where last minute things, for instance, I was actually working with a huge group for their yearly celebration. And everybody was getting all their hotel room keys. And all of a sudden we had noticed there was like 5 or 6 people that didn't have a room key and they didn't have a reservation. So right there on the spot, I had to reach out to another local hotel. I was like, start walking towards that hotel. You will have a reservation by the time you arrive. And sure enough, I had every single one of them in a room by the time they arrived to the hotel. So things like that. When you are the retreat leader, event leader, whatever it might be, that is something that's going to take your focus away from the attendees. And that's where I come into play of being that person that's just there in the background and making sure things are running smoothly.
Love it. Let's talk about size. I mean, obviously, we met at a mastermind that was with one location with a dozen people. And then the next event we were at was at a huge resort with thousands of attendees. And
Uh-huh.
so, what size and scale can you handle and support? Is there something you're not fit for? Is there a sweet spot?
So I have worked with groups as small as 5 people all the way up to groups of 300. And I've actually just obtained some new clients recently, which super excited about. There's some big associations nationally that they have between 6 to 800 attendees. So I can go that high. Now, obviously, I have a team that works with me. I don't go in by myself and try to do all of it. My team comes in and partners with me. We're all just kind of running around like chickens with our heads cut off, making sure things are running smoothly. But I can handle from small, medium, and large.
Love it. How much do you get into? I know you deal with the location, all the other stuff. Do you have any best practice tips on the content or the structure? Do you provide any guidance there?
I do. Now, specifically for retreats, in retreats, typically you're going to have 20 attendees or less. It's more of a very intimate experience. When you get larger than that, it becomes more of kind of like an event than a retreat. So I typically tell retreat leaders to allot 5 days because 2 of those days are travel days where people are traveling in. Sometimes people don't travel in until late at night. And then the day home, going home, some people leave at the booty crack of dawn. For instance, the mastermind that you came and were a guest at, there's people that left the house at 4 o'clock in the morning. So you can't really do anything on that day. And then that leaves you 3 full days of content. And what's really important for retreat leaders is not to feel like they need to completely fill up all of the time. I always feel like the relationships with people and connections are made in the downtime of, hey, we've got the afternoon where you can go to the spa if you're at a resort, or you can go hang out at the beach or go for a hike or just have some meditation time. And that's where the big breakthroughs come through, is during that downtime. And when you have 3 days to be able to piece together the itinerary, to have some trainings in the morning, some downtime in the afternoon, and then get back together in the evening, that allows for people to feel like they're not feeling completely rushed and like there's too much time crammed in to even soak in the information that they were taught.
Well, let's talk money. For anyone that might be listening or watching, obviously we can pre-sell retreat spots. How much money may we have to come out of pocket, before we start pre-selling it? Are there things we have to pay for? Or can we pre-sell enough tickets that it's all fine and dandy? Talk to me about money.
So I honestly recommend to pre-sell tickets. And that's where we're going to get all the information together of what the cost is going to be. We do that before you even start marketing it, of, hey, this is what the private villa is going to cost, or this is what the rooms are going to cost per person. This is what your goodie bags are going to consist of. This is what the meeting space costs. This is what food costs. And then it'll spit out a number to you and you can say, hey, okay, we need to reserve this villa and it's going to be $2,000 to lock this in. Then I would say, hey, let's go pre-sell 4 tickets at $500 a pop. And then once you've done that, then you can pay for the villa. And so that's something that I work with a retreat leader. Now, some of them already have those funds set aside because they've been preparing for this. If they already have that set aside, great. Let's just start locking things in and then you can sell it and that money goes right back into your pocket.
I love that. That's very liberating, right? Like, so there is a path for someone who may not be sitting on a nest egg, but knows that they want to bring people together. That's amazing. Talk about your cost, because I know in the travel world, people who don't use travel agents, right? Travel agents don't cost money. So that's a true statement. I'm gonna bet in the retreat world, though, that's probably not necessarily true, because there's some time that you have to put in, or are you free?
So, honestly, in this day and age post COVID, most travel advisors are charging planning fees. I call it a personalization and planning fee. And what is included in that is my services from the start until the end. Now, when it comes to retreats, I typically charge $250 per attendee, and that is for me to do all of the pre-planning of everything. That does not include me coming in and being the day of coordinator. There is an additional cost to that, and typically I work with the retreat leader if they're wanting me to come in and maybe kind of be a part of it and I get some benefit from it, then I will will negotiate rates. If they're like, hey, no, I just want you to literally be there from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m. and you're just doing everything, then obviously there's a different cost in that. So that's something that I work on with a retreat leader. But when it comes to actually planning it, I charge $250 per attendee and then just a 20% deposit to put down so that they're not fronting all of that up front. And as they're selling the tickets to the retreat, then they can pay the remaining amount due, if that makes sense.
Love it. Yeah, I just want people to have some idea, because I know, if you're hosting a big event, it gets expensive. But in the retreat world,
Sure.
like, it can be accessible, and so I think that that's great to hear. And 250 is good. That kind of gives you a benchmark to plan. Let's talk about the what ifs, right? Like, what if someone can't make it last minute? What
Mhm.
if you don't sell as many spots as you thought you were going to sell? Like, talk to me about the what ifs.
So, when it comes to these what ifs, I have each of my retreat leaders have a contract for any of the attendees to sign. So, if someone cancels before the cutoff date, which we talk through together, obviously that's going to be based off of the other cutoff dates with the accommodations. If the private chef has a certain like deadline of when they need to know how many are attending, etc., we include that date and back it up maybe about 30 days before that for the attendees of saying, hey, if you cancel before this date, you get a full refund. If you don't cancel before this date, there are penalties. It's very similar to booking a hotel. Typically, they have penalties. So that kind of covers their butts when it comes to someone needing to cancel last minute. It's like, well, you're out this much or it's non-refundable, one of the two. I've had some people that if they had a guest that said they couldn't come, they would I guess, what is the word that I'm looking for? Discount it to someone that wanted to attend. And let's say the retreat was full. That is a possibility as well. So there are ways to kind of save your butt to be able to make sure that you're not out of pocket, if that makes sense.
Love it. Talk to me about end of retreats. Everyone's super stoked, but then it's like a blitz home. Do you have any advice on, the last night, the last memorable thing, like just making kind of a big impact moment that keeps the retreat going beyond the retreat?
Yes, for sure. So I always recommend to have some sort of big shindig is what I like to call it for the last night where you're having a something that's not of the norm. For instance, one of my clients, they had a beach retreat and it was a surprise thing that none of the attendees knew was happening. She's like, "Hey ladies, get dressed up, in your nice beach, not beach gear, but like your beach sundresses. And we're going to walk out to the beach and I got something exciting for you." And they did a catamaran sunset cruise and they had, a bartender on the cruise boat or the catamaran boat with them. And it was just a really great way to end the retreat. Or doing some type of a dinner where you have like a mariachi band come in and they're playing for everyone, something of that nature. You want to make it memorable to where they're leaving that retreat on a high and they're excited about going to the next one.
What about content capturing? Is that something you help coordinate, like a videographer, photographer, so that we have
Yes.
one, we can market the next one, but two, we're capturing real time?
So I have videographers and photographers that I partner with that they specialize in doing things of this nature where they are on site to capture footage. I don't personally do that because that's not my specialty, but I do have a team of people that I partner with that I can bring in and they offer different types of packaging where they can come in for like one day. If they're a retreat leader that's like, I can't afford to have them come in for the entire time. That is something that we can talk through and they'll work with them on that too.
Love it. Let's put you in the shoes of the guest. As someone who attends retreats and travels a lot, what are some things you love? Like what makes you feel well hosted and that you really appreciate?
One of the things that I love is when I walk into my room and there is something that's personalized that says, "Dear Amanda," with a note. And then I love like any kind of food. So I've had like a charcuterie board or a bottle of champagne with two glasses and some strawberries with chocolate on them. Things like that. It's something small, but it's big at the same time. It shows that there has been some care put behind that. They know that this is my room, that they're thankful that I'm staying on the property with them, that I'm attending the retreat event, whatever it is. It just gives it that extra touch. And then you start out that event with just feeling like you're valued, and that's so important.
Mm, I do love that. I mean, we all love that when the hotels go out of their way, but if as the host, you make that part of the experience, that's great. Let's go to the other
Mhm.
side. What pisses you off? Like what sets you off where you're like, damn it, why? Like, why is this the way you did it?
Honestly, I am not someone that thinks very negatively. So I'm trying to even think and rack my brain. That's a really good question. Um, I guess I like to have a good view. So that's something that I also help with retreat leaders is making sure that the attendees have like an ocean view or a nice garden view, whatever it might be. I've had some views before where it's like you see the next building next to you. And it's like, who wants to wake up and see a building next to you when you're on a retreat or at an event that you've paid a pretty penny for? So that's probably one of the worst things that I'm like, oh dang it, I wish that I could have had a better room. But other than that, like I can't really think of anything else. Like I've had some great experiences. I guess I'm just lucky. I don't know.
Well, I love that though, because it was so interesting. I went to a really, really high-end retreat at a really, really high-end property, and I'm the guy that just goes with the flow. And unfortunately, I ended up in a room that, like, one, shouldn't have been a room on the property. And
Oh,
two, there was no one to advocate for room change that was part of the conference. So I, as an attendee, was having to try to advocate for change at a sold out property. And they couldn't
mm,
move me. And so we ended up having a room surrounded by two events and two DJs. Like, it was crazy. It was so stupid. Um, and
oh
so as
my
you were
gosh.
saying that, like I'm the same way. I just kind of go with the flow. But yeah, that would piss me off. Like wrong room, shitty view, not accessible, or yeah, like that's good. If you're gonna get a room
Mhm.
block, make sure you're blocking out the right rooms.
Yes, for sure.
That's awesome. Kayla, do you have any questions? I'm trying to hit all the topics. I'm sure you've got something.
Yeah, you kind of posted or you kind of talked on it a little bit. So do you have your own like calculator for the pricing of the retreat that, obviously includes your fee and everything else? I work in Profit First and I work with a lot of retreat coaches actually. And so we have really done things percentage wise of like, okay, how do we make this profitable and how do we pay ourselves first? But also, how do we keep running the other side of the business as well? So making sure that all those lines are in there.
Yeah, so the calculator that I have, it's a very basic calendar or calculator, not calendar, sorry. My brain is a little bit not working today. It's a basic calculator where you put in the dollar amounts of like how much
Mhm.
the accommodations are, what my fees are, how much you want to make, etc. So,
Okay.
I do have that if that's what you're asking.
Okay, yeah. It sounds like it could be more detailed. Like we could absolutely work together and make this even
Yeah.
better for co-clients in the future. But where the other question that I had, it was more on the retreat side. So like we're in Reno. And I've thought about doing Lake Tahoe retreats, either for my current clients or my clients' clients. And so we're about an hour-ish, depending on what part of the lake we go to from the main airport, unless you go privatized to the Tahoe airport. Which isn't as safe and not as easy to get to. But my point is that how do you overcome that so that you don't have to have everybody do a rental car or because I've seen in the past, especially with our smaller groups that I've done the retreats on, they have just always carpooled. Somebody's flown in, and then another attendee will go pick them up, and then they'll share the car, things like that. What is your way around that?
So there is a way around that. There is a lot of like logistics that come into this play where a travel agent would be key, where you have all the attendees fly in around the same time and you can rent like a van of some sort or have like a private driver that has like a big limo take all of the attendees. Obviously, there's a little bit that'll be a little bit higher in pricing when it
Yeah.
comes to something like that, but if you're trying to provide that experience to the attendees, that would be beneficial. And you can
Yeah.
factor that into the retreat calculator as well.
Cool.
Yeah, that is. I was having the same thought, Kayla, because I was like, I
Yeah.
kind of want to host stuff here, but doing it in Reno's meh. Like
Yeah.
it's fine for like a bigger event, but if you're gonna be more intimate, I could see like doing it somewhere at the lake. And then if you're at a big property, maybe they've got shuttle service or something. But
Oh, that's a
it
good
is
idea too.
it is a pain.
Yeah, I've definitely looked at like some of the bigger houses and everything too. Um, but yeah, this is definitely something that I've definitely thought about a lot. But I've done a couple in Denver, but you fly into Denver and then they're in the mountains. So it's still that hour and a half to three
Hmm.
hour drive after that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Hmm.
Love it. Any other questions, Kayla, for stuff you're thinking
Those are the
about?
first, but I definitely want to connect with you and chat about how we can partner because I've got a few people that could really use you.
That would be amazing, Kayla. I would love that.
That's awesome. I will make sure you guys get a joint email following this. And
I
that
love
is
it,
why you
Devin.
show that's why you show up live.
Yes.
Yes.
Uh, Amanda, what haven't we talked about? Is there a box we haven't checked? Is there a topic we haven't hit? What have we missed?
So this is something that's kind of on topic, it kind of not. And I also will push this to retreat leaders that maybe are kind of new in the space and they're like, I don't really have the content, but I want to start traveling. I have a few companies that I partner with where they can set up a group trip with you. And if you have 10 people attending, like a group trip, for instance, Finland, I'm doing next year. This is something I personally do. If you get 10 attendees to go, you can go complimentary. And that can include your flight, your transfers, your excursions, your meals, everything is included. So that is a great starting point where you can partner with me, where I can connect you to the companies I partner with, and you can do a group trip. And this can be where you can start to build your community. Maybe you're not necessarily going to have like a full-blown retreat where you're going to have the content to share, but during the downtimes, which there are downtimes, that can be time where you can start creating that community, building the camaraderie, and saying, hey, next one is going to be my own retreat where we're going to have it at a private villa, all inclusive, whatever it might be. And it's going to be solely focused on whatever the topic is that they want it to be.
All right, we're going to be talking about that. You got me with free travel. If Gary's video was on, I'm sure his head's nodding too, and he's already picking destinations. So
I mean, Devin, you have a huge network of people. It would not be difficult for you to host something like that.
we've been thinking about it for sure. But I like that idea. I like that idea of like not having to have an agenda, but let's just go together. Like that's an interesting way to create community without having to put all the pressure on. So that's a great little nugget for everybody. Any other nuggets like that?
My biggest nugget for anybody that's even looking to host retreats in the future, to be able to bring in another income stream to your business, start a community. If it's through school, if it's through Facebook, which is free, I highly recommend. Start a community and start pouring in your top tips to that community so that they will learn to like and love you and want to go on your retreat in the future. That is so key. It's just starting. Don't be afraid. Just put that group out there and start.
Love it. Well, let's give a shout out to if you're not an Aces because you're watching this off of Aces, join Aces. It's free. We just launched a second community called Authors Helping Authors. So if you're a book writer, publisher, or want support with your book and reviews, check us out there. And then Kayla's on, and I'm going to plug her too. The Peace Strategy School community as well. Amazing content in line with her book. So start a community. Yes, shout out from the mountaintops. But come hang out with us in our various communities. And Kayla, since you're on, we're going to give you a shout out too. Love what you're doing in there, and the content's great. The book launch is going to be epic. Amanda, I got to ask the question because you travel a lot. Where's the best place you've been recently? Like, what stands out? What's just like the coolest trip you've been on?
So honestly, the Costa Rica trip, and I wasn't really expecting Costa Rica to be as amazing as it was, and it was. I got to stay at a really cool property that actually the Golden Bachelor was filmed there. I actually got to go into this mansion that he stayed in. It was phenomenal. They had like 2 private pools. Like it was just crazy. I was like, oh my God, watch the Golden Bachelor. You'll see that beautiful mansion. And what's really cool about Costa Rica is there is just so much wildlife. I got to see all kinds of animals. I actually got to see a sloth up close in the wild. There was a little baby sloth and I got to pet him. It was like literally the best experience ever. Like literally like knocked that off my bucket list. Costa Rica is just beautiful. And I was just blown away by the beauty literally every single day. It is a great place to host retreats as well.
Love it. Any group trips coming up you'd like us to link or plug? Because we have amazing people who might want to plug in.
Yeah, so I have a few. I actually have one that's going to be, it's called The Footsteps of Paul. So I'm a believer. I love the Lord. And we're bringing the book of Acts to life. We're going to be touring Greece. It's in October. And then in that October of next year, not of this year, of 26. And then December of 26, I'm actually doing a Finland trip. And we're going to see the Northern Lights. We're going to stay in those glass igloos that everybody sees on TikTok. We're going to Santa's Village. We're going to get to do the Alaskan like dog sledding thing. So I'm really excited about those 2 trips. And if you want to know more, please reach out to me. You can look me up. Across the Horizon Travel is my website page. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all the things.
Love it. We will provide all those links. Amanda, I appreciate you. Thank you for sharing your time and wisdom with us. There's a lot of nuggets in here, and now we all get to go travel.
Yes. Thank you, Devin. I appreciate you.